Hey guys, welcome back. Yesterday we had talked on the functional and non-functional document, which you can check in the previous video. But today we are actually talking or digging a much more detail into the functional documents. Like for a software or for a software project, and when you are dealing with a good software company or when you want the success of your software project, what is the benefit or what is the importance of the functional document? The problem which we are dealing is how to write a functional document. What all things need to be added in the functional document? What is the example of the detailed functional document? These all parameters will be considered and resolved in today's solution. So I just promise you, like by the end of today's session, you will definitely get to know like the functional document importance, the way of writing, the way of getting evaluated, and do remember, a good functional documents guarantee you the success of your project. So that is a core part which we are going to deal today. So proceeding ahead, as you know, my name is Kapil. Okay, so as we proceed ahead on functional documents, so how to write a functional document? So main important thing is like, without a proper functional document, we are actually drilling our project to some, failure. The reason is we don't have a clear requirement. We don't know the required input and output. The frequencies of the requirement got very changed and some unrealistic requirements come up. So these are the issues which come up when you don't have a functional document. This is very important to know, like if you don't have a proper functional document, you are really going to face these of things. And it would be something like, when you are at the end of the goal, or when you are at the end of the deadline, then you will see the product at last in the glance, and then you will find thousands and millions of bugs which will take another year or time to get resolved. And this issue arises when you don't have a functional document. Now, first of all, we need to understand what all things are going to influence, or what all things are there which we need to cover in our functional document. Scope, functionality, user interface, description, interaction between the application, output, dependencies, and the criteria which we are needing to use. Why all these important? Try to understand a situation. Actually, you are actually explaining someone else your idea. You are giving them a belief in your idea. Let's take an assumption, or let's take a simple example. Nowadays, like due to COVID and that all thing, many things are happening online. So you see, like, okay, there is one situation like, gyms are not getting open. So you see, like many gym people are doing a Zoom call, but still Zoom is not that much good or something like that. Zoom has its own issues. You can't design, you can't rectify, you can't make it more interactive and that all way. So what is the solution? You think like, okay, let's make some online application where we will provide the gym people, some way of subscription model or some way of setup where they can share the link with their participant and make the thing more interactive. Good, you are good to go. But now you have to give this idea to the software company, to the project manager, and to the developers who are going to develop it. So try to understand. They need to understand the whole situation. If you will just give them this glance like, okay, I'm just developing a software for gym, they will have a video calling, and they will just do this, that's fine. But they didn't understood the initial or the internal things. They didn't know, like, the gym or the trainer can see all the participant, but all the participant can't see each other. They didn't know like music is going to be shared. They didn't know all this setup. So what to do about this setup? That is a critical part. And those type of setup are being explained in the functional document. We are giving them a scope, like what exactly is the requirement. We are asking them to write down all the detailed functionality. What is going to happen? Why is going to happen? Interfaces, like how the design is going to be there. Descriptions, like how the user is going to take the task. Interaction between the things, and all these things. So these are very important things which are going to be covered in a functional document. And we can definitely, as we shared the example of a gym, here we are taking an example of a mobile app development. So when you go for a mobile app development, the functional document need to consider its navigation, it needs to consider the positions, it needs to consider its scope and various frames, the interaction between the frames, and also the interface elements, and many more things. Like there is a database, there is a interaction APIs, there is the output, the input, like thousands of things are included, and that all are input in a functional document. Now you can easily understand, when we input a functional document or a functional requirement, then you have actually have shown many times like there are use cases. Why we have use cases? What is the benefit of use cases? Why people are creating use cases? Try to understand. Use case is very interactive thing. Okay, let's take a simple example. Login authentication process. Now use case 1 would be the person is login with Gmail account. Use case 2, the person will log in with Apple ID. Use case 3, the person will log in with phone number. Use case 4, the person forgot its password. Use case 5, the person didn't verify its email. Use case 6, like the person is entering wrong password and he's trying to break the code. So these are the 6 use cases which occurred at only one module of login and authentication. Now try to understand, if we have 6 use cases, it is something like in the document, what will happen? That coder and the tester will know like they have to go through these 6 scenarios, and when they will go through these 6 scenarios, they will make sure like all the 6 are working. But don't expect them to do the 7th one which you have not mentioned in the document, because those guys' task is to just follow the document, do the thing the best it is suited in the technological perspective. But use cases are not their task to understand. Okay, they will just see or think a single success use case, but you need to provide them some of the scenarios which may occur, which causes the issue, or which are the use cases of different aspects. Definitely all modules have different use cases and scenarios. Definitely, so each functional requirement document need to have use case. Now let's discuss some common requirements or the common aspects which we generally have in a functional document. Okay, business rules. Business rules are the rules and regulation, the overall scenario which you need. For example, in our gym example which we have taken earlier, you can see like the business rules can be like the gym will do the subscription and the people will join for free. This is your business model. Correlation and cancellation of transaction, like if you have some real-time transactions, some money transactions, you need to keep the authentication process, like how many transactions have been successful, how are failure, if they are failure, what was the reason, and that all thing need to be in the record. Approval of the administrative, this is very important. Try to understand, like if you have multiple level, like if you are creating some CMS and you have multiple level and authority, then their approval is necessary, like which person should be accessible to which level of data. Authentication, as we know, we need to identify which user is getting integrated. Data retention, like for example, if you delete some transactions or if you remove some transaction, how they will affect, how they should be removed, should they be kept in the archive, how they need to be worked out. Compliance requirement, like is your application is HIPAA compliance, or is your application is UNO compliance. So what all authorities are there which we need to work out. Maintenance and audit trail, like for example, we should know like how the whole audit is being going on. If we are doing some financial institute app, then we need to take care of it. Interfaces, what the design is going to be, the requirement and the report. So these all are very effective and critical parts. Now we will see like what are the effective functional documents. So in our part 2 of this video, let's see like how or what type of functional documents are very effective. Number 1, the very much effective thing which we actually seen here is the business rule. Similarly, the business requirements. We need to together gather all the business requirement, which can be like we can have a interview different stakeholders. We can have a a tool to gather appropriate data, or we can understand the values of the users. We can have a clarity of the functionality and their application. We can decide the features which we are going to offer. We need to look at the pain and the game map. So overall, Business requirement is something like the whole business model from the perspective of software, from the perspective of development, and create it out. So it is something like, the vision, the idea which you have, the things which you have in your mind, you have to put down on the paper. Then you have to create or link it in such a way like that is making sense. Then you have to provide the scenarios and use cases so that it is making a foolproof setup. Document business requirement. Now document business requirement is something like, we need to set up all those information which we have gathered here into a requirement document, a document which can be developed, or we can have a template or something, but this document business requirement is a functional document which we are looking for to get developed. Then all the requirements which we have, like, we can include system dialogues, error reporting, user roles, validation, mock-up, and use cases, and flow diagram, and many more stories, so that people can understand the things, and many more things. As per, we are going to put down all these in the requirement. Then we will get it verified by a software architect and get it reviewed by a development process, so that it should have a proper structure, proper way of working, and proper setup. And then we should get it approved by the appropriate stakeholders. So overall, this will make the whole process together. Overall, as per the conclusion, I must say, like, the functional document is very, very much important. The functional document is a document that has all the business idea, that has all the use cases, and overall it is a bible, or you can say it is a reference, only reference for a developer as well as tester. Once you have a proper functional document, you can be assured like things are going to be smooth, at least as per the document, and they won't get changed, and also it is easy to reference, understand, and remember. So at the end, a good functional document, a effective functional document is the only key of success for a software, or is a main key of success which we need to improve. With this, we are closing today's session. Hope you enjoyed the functional document requirement. If you have any issue, any guideline, or if you have anything to discuss, do contact us. We will be providing you all the details in the detailed session. Thank you. Have a great day.